All right, in today's activity here, we want to move and make a copy of this wall. So we want to move this wall over, okay? So we're going to make a typical, this is going to be just a typical 8 by 8 box or a shed that we're going to make here. So we want to bring this wall over to this side, okay? So now how we do that is we're going to take and copy everything that we made from this wall, and we're just going to bring it over this way, okay? All right, so first thing we're going to do, we're come over to the move feature. All right, so we're going to zoom in here, and we want to make sure that we're on edge in the group. Okay, we left click our mouse, and we want to make a copy of it. So Control M. Okay, so Control M, we can drag that over, and you can see right now I'm off axis right now. Okay, so you can see where that dotted line is black. Now it's red, and it says on the red axis. That's where we want to be. I don't have to pull this out. I can just enter in a measurement, and I want it close to 8 feet. So I'm going to go 8 feet, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out here. You can see it put my bottom plate out 8 feet. Okay, this is where you want to make sure is see my dimensioning line. I have it set right here on this edge. Okay, so in order to fit a 4x8 sheet of plywood in here, okay, we want to put a 4x8 sheet of plywood here. We have to make sure that this edge right here is at 8 feet. Okay, so the way I did that, I put that dimensioning line on there just for my reference. So I'm going to zoom in right to here, and I'm going to take and move my bottom plate. I'm just going to move it close to it there. So it says on axis. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this line here. All right, so now I am going to measure it. I'm going to measure this line right here. All right, so I'm going to come up here to my index line. Actually, I'm just going to use the tape measure feature. I'm going to endpoint here. And we're at 8 5/8 right now. Okay, so how do we change that? How do we get that thing over another 5/8 of an inch? Easy. We'll just come over here to the move feature. Well, we got to get over here, and then we're going to move this. We're going to move this over. Just start it to the on the red axis to the way you want to move it, and then type in 5/8 of an inch. There. That should have moved that 5/8 of an inch. So now I'll come over here with our tape measure feature again. And we're at 8 feet. So there, a sheet of plywood, if you're not paneling it on the inside, which it doesn't matter anyways, because if you put the flooring on, it's not going to matter, because if you overlap it, if you put the inside paneling down 1/2 inch on 1/2 inch, then you're going to be a 1/2 inch short on each one. You're going to have to rip the particular piece of plywood to fit it on there. So here we've got 8 feet. Okay, so we've got 8 feet inside dimensions there, so we're good there. All right, so next thing we want to do is to move our studs. Okay, so just like we did before, we can come here and move each one of these here, or we can come over here and lay them out, which it's probably a lot easier just to lay each of the studs out on it. So if I want to do anything with this, okay, so this is where it's going to get tricky. If I copy these studs from here, if I want to delete this stud or one stud, it's going to delete this one. And why? Is because we made this a component. Okay, so we made these studs. This would be, I don't know how I labeled it, if it was studs, north wall, or what have you, but if you make the change on this one, it's going to affect this wall. So we want to make our stud pattern on our marks on this particular bottom plate right here. And we'll go over that again here. We'll zoom in. We'll slide this over. And how we do that again is basically we got to lay out each stud on here. Okay, and it's 3.5 by 1.5. Okay, so that's the nominal thickness of a 2x4. All right, so then we have to come over here. We have to triple click. So we want to make this a component now. Okay, so we have to select our cursor, triple click, and then right click, and then make a component. And this one here will be south studs. We can put this here, stud wall. Okay. So anytime I make any changes, it's going to affect all of them. Okay. All right, so now we want to come and move each one of these. Okay, so I want to go on face in group until I have 4 red pluses. And I'm going to click it, left click the mouse, and then I want to control M to copy it, and that will pull it. Okay, so when I pull it, it leaves that one right there. Okay, so now you see my green dashes. That's where I want to be, because if I go out here, I'm off the face of that 2x4. So I want to be on face. Okay, I'm going to type in 16 for 16" on center, hit return, and then I want to go times 6, I believe, because if I go times 6, that's as many on that group on this 2x4 that I want to put on here. Okay, but all the time I was doing that, I was not touching the mouse. Okay, so now I have all these studs laid out where I want them, and you can see I've got one that's kind of hanging extra out here, so I'm just going to move that this way, right there, on face in group. Okay, so there, I moved it out. All right, so now, just like you would if you were at a construction site, you want to make sure that my measurements are going to be on. Okay, this is where it's going to get tricky because you're using a mouse, and yeah, it can be kind of confusing. I want to measure from this point to this point to get my exact measurements of my studs. Okay, I want to get zoomed so I can see it right away, and I'm going to take a measurement. Okay, end group and end group. So it looks like it's 7 feet 7.5 inches. I'm going to write that down so I can remember it. 7 feet. All right, so we're going to get out of this tape measure feature. We're going to come back over to our bottom plate here. And we're just going to, so we can see any of these studs here. All right, so we're going to click the, we got to do this one. We're going to triple click any one of these studs here. So we're going to triple click here. So now I'm going to change all of these. So I want to extrude or pull all of them. Okay, and what was our measurements? 7 feet, 7 inches, or 7.5, wasn't it? 7.5, yep, 7.5 inches. All right, and I pulled those all up there. All right, and we can color these as we go. It doesn't really matter. I think that's how I've got this. We'll color each one, makes it a little easier. All right, so now we have to add the top and the bottom plate here. So we are going to come here. Oh. All right, so we're going to come to this one. Now we need to move this one right over here. So we want to move this. You keep in mind we have to make a copy of it. We're going to click it, Control M, and then we're going to bring that up. I would bring it up 7.5, 7 feet, 7.5 inches. And we'll see where that brings it. If it's not, we can certainly move it while it's up there too. So where I'd like to go is right on the corner, okay? But where did it go? It didn't move it. For some reason, it didn't move it. All right, well, we'll have to do this over again. All right, we'll click and Control M. And then we'll go 7 feet, 7.5 inches. Hopefully it brought it up there. For some reason, it didn't bring it up there. I don't know why it's not bringing it up there. Control M. Well, I'm going to manually bring it up there. All right, so there I manually bring it up there. I don't know why it wasn't doing it with the measurement, but oh well, we got it up there. So I'm going to measure just to make sure. It looks like we've got 7.5 inches there. All right, so now I want to make a top plate here. I want to come up and move this one. Make Control M. And I want to bring that up 1.5 inches. There. All right, so now we should have a total length. I'm going to erase this line right here. So we should have a total length of 8 feet high, okay? So we'll measure this out. Oh, there is my other top plate way up there. I must have did 17 feet. We'll get rid of that one. There. All right, so like I say, if it's it goes someplace, it's someplace on your screen. All right, we're going to zoom in here so we can measure this. My mouse is very touchy this morning here. All right, it looks like we're at 7 feet, 10 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark that down, or 10.5 inches. All right, so we've got to go up another 1.5 inches on that one. Yep, as you can see here, right here is where I'm off. You can see this top plate, first one, is intersecting with this 2x4 here. So we'll simple fix here. We're just going to go here. Oh, we don't want to angle it. We just want to move this up 1.5. Okay, and that one 1.5. There. Now we should be at 8 feet. There we are. We are at feet. And like I say, I like to zoom in really close so I can see where that index line is here. So I know it's right at that corner. Okay. We'll get here so we can zoom around. All right, so that's how we get another wall. Let's make sure that we've got 8 feet, the inside measurement here. Which we do. Okay, we got 8 feet there on the inside dimensions, and I'm going to move this one out here. And that's inside dimension of 8 feet. Okay. All right, so next thing we'll do is to put some plywood on there, like you did on the first wall. You can put plywood on, put any other color you want on it, on that. So that is how we make a copy of a separate wall or another wall from the other side. So once we get practice at this, like I say, this is just practice on how to do these and getting the controls inside SketchUp. Once we do that, we will end up having a shed. We'll put a floor plate on here. Like you say, the walls are basically the same design as a floor plate. Is just we do not have a double top plate. They're called joists on the outside, so rim joists. So once we start doing that, we'll build the floor and the floor joist, and then we'll build up on top of that. But the walls are one of the hardest ones to do because you have to make copies and make components and groups and so forth. But once you get this, you'll be able to make a floor fairly easy, okay? Because it's pretty much the same design. So that's how you make a copy from another wall that you previously made.